ለመማር ወደ ትምህርት ተቋም መሄድ ግድ አይደለም።
ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
ራሳችሁን ከኮሮና ቫይረስ ወረርሽኝ እየጠበቃችሁ በቤታችሁ ወይም በተመቻችሁ ቦታ
በኢንተርኔት አማካኝነት በኦንላይን ትምህርታችሁን መከታተል ይቻላል።
ካናዳ ከሚገኘው ኢንተርናሽናል ኤር ትራንስፖርት አሶሲዬሽን አያታና
ከእንግሊዙ ኢንስቲትዩት ኦፍ ኮመርሻል ማኔጅመንት ICM ጋር በመተባበር የሚሰጡ ትምህርቶችን ተከታትላችሁ በ6 ወር ጊዜ በዓለም አቀፍ ደረጃ ተቀባይነት ያለውን የስልጠና ማስረጃ ባለቤት መሆን ይቻላል።
ከኢትዮጵያ ሲቪል አቪዬሽን ባለስልጣን ሙሉ ዕውቅና ባገኘንባቸው የፍላይት ኦፕሬሽን እና የሆስተስ ስልጠናም በምዝገባ ላይ ነን።
ጥያቄና መልስ፣ የክፍል ስራዎች ብሎም ፈተና መፈተን ክፍል ውስጥ እንዳላችሁ አይነት
ልምድ ባላቸው መምህራን እየተማራችሁ
በኦንላይን ባላችሁበት ቦታ
አድራሻ ከ22 ማዞሪያ ወደ ሾላ ገበያ በሚወስደው መንገድ 150 ሜትር ገባ ብሎ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ
ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።
To remind what we have discussed last time, we have started the first chapter already, and we have also put some fundamental principles in order to understand international relations. We have said that, as you recall our discussion, as you remember our discussion we have had last time, international relation it is a formal friendship, or you can define it as a legal alliance between sovereign states. Okay, states need to be independent. States must be sovereign so as to create an international relationship. Therefore, this international relationship must be created between or among independent countries or independent states. The other main point that we have discussed last time was the very reason why states or countries are interested to have a relationship with another state. These days things are, globalized, things are highly interrelated. The problem of our neighboring states somehow is our problem, and the very good fortune of our neighboring countries is also at the same time our fortune. Therefore, life is not simple at independent level. Hence, countries are currently preferring international relation even more than any time else. ከመቼውም ጊዜ በበለጠ አገሮች ከሌሎች አገሮች ጋር ግንኙነትን የፈለጉበት ጊዜ ነው ማለት እንችላለን። And we have also said some important points about why countries are interested for international relationship, and we have put 3 or 4 main reasons that we should not escape. Okay, the very first reason was it is for economic cohabitation, for economic cooperation, for economic alliance. These things must be imported and exported in the form of trade, in the form of assistance, and in the form of donation. ነገሮች እቃዎች አንዳንድ ጊዜም አገልግሎቶች እቃዎች ብቻ ሳይሆን አገልግሎቶች ለምሳሌ ሐኪሞችን ልናስመጣ እንችላለን፣ የቀን ሰራተኞችን ደግሞ ከዚህ ልንልክ እንችላለን፣ ተማሪዎች ትምህርት እንዲያገኙ ወደ ውጭ ልንልክ እንችላለን። ከውጭ ደግሞ ቴክኒካል የሆኑ ነገሮችን የሚረዱልን ማሽኖችን የሚጠግኑ ኦኬ የተለያዩ ትልልቅ ኢንዱስትሪዎችን የሚጠግኑ ሰዎችን ደግሞ ከውጭ እናመጣለን። Therefore, don't only limit your understanding when we are referring to import and export, don't limit your understanding on only goods. Okay, services can also interchangeable. እዚህ ጋር ጊዜ ኢምፖርት እና ኤክስፖርትን በምናስብበት ጊዜ አስቀድሞ ወደ አገራችን የሚመጣብን ነገር እቃ ወደ ከሀገር ውጭ መላክ ወይም እቃዎችን ደግሞ ከሀገር ማስወጣት ብቻ ነው። ግን በተፈለገው ጊዜ ደግሞ አገልግሎትንም ኤክስፖርት ልናደርግ እንችላለን። Okay, we can also import services. Therefore, it can be transacted መለዋወጥ ማለት ነው። It can be transacted in the form of trade በንግድ መልክ ማለት ነው፣ in the form of donation በእርዳታ መልክ፣ አንዳንድ ጊዜ ደግሞ in the form of loan በብድር መልክ እነዚህ ነገሮች እናደርጋለን። ስለዚህ in order to have this relationship, in order to have this transaction, an international relationship is mandatory. Therefore, states are usually worried about their imports and exports for the sake of their economic well-being. This is the first reason. The second reason is the second important reason is for political peaceful relationship. States who are having good relationship tend to have also peaceful environment. The probability for the occurrence of war among such kinds of states are highly lesser and lesser. በጦርነት የመፈላለግ ዝንባሌያቸው ጥሩ ግንኙነት ባላቸው ሀገሮች ዘንድ ምንድነው በጣም ዝቅተኛ ነው ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ therefore states are not only interested for trade relationship only but for peaceful relationship. The last one that I have mentioned last week was it is about social relationship. You know, these days the term globalization is highly mentioned frequently. You might heard globalization, being united, facing problems and challenges together is mentioned frequently these days. በዚህ ሰዓት ችግሮችን በጋራ መወጣት ያሉትን ጥሩ አጋጣሚዎችን በጋራ መጠቀም የሚለው ነገር በተደጋጋሚ እንሰማለን። That's what we mean by globalization. Things are highly globalized. ይሄ ሉላዊነት የሚባለው things are highly related. Okay, resources are highly shared in the 21st century. Therefore, social relationship, having cultural exchange, having social alliance is the other main factor that countries are in search for international relations. Having said this, as we tried to discuss last time, there is a concept of nationalism, nation, and states. These things are, said frequently, and we are using these terms interchangeably. However, I have told you last time there exists a slight difference among these three terms, among these three terminologies. And as these terminologies, በተደጋጋሚ እንደ አንድ ቃል የሚነሱ ነገሮች ናቸው። ነገር ግን በመካከላቸው የተወሰነ ልዩነት እንዳለ ባለፈው ተነጋግረን ነበር። And nationalism is the most influential force in international affairs. If you remember, it has caused many revolutions in the world. It is the nationalism feeling is simply we can define as a doctrine that asserts the nation as a basic political unit in organized society. In a very organized society, the feeling of nationalism is mandatory. If we don't have the feeling of nationalism, then somewhat we do not belong ourselves to that group. ስለዚህ the feeling of nationalism የምንለው ምንድነው? ለሀገራችን፣ ለመሬታችን፣ ለቴሪቶሪ፣ ለድንበሩ generally speaking, we can call it is a doctrine, አስተሳሰብ ማለት ነው. It is a thought that is in our hearts. And nation and states are the most important point, the most important element if we are there to talk about nationalism. So we have discussed last time that how states are created. In order to form states, at least we need to have, four essential elements, four basic elements. And in the absence of these four basic elements, we shall not talk about nationalism in states all in all. አራት ስቴትን ለመፍጠር የሚያስፈልጉ ቅድመ ሁኔታዎችን ተነጋግረን ነበረ። Sovereignty is the first one. That is related with how the state is independent enough, whether the country is under colonization or under pressure from external or foreign affairs. ከውጭ ምን ያህል ጫና አለባት የሚለውን የሚገልጽልን ነው sovereignty. And the other one is territory and people and government. These three things is important. And today, this is what we have discussed last time. And today I'm planning to discuss with you about a deep understanding of international relationship. We need to understand international relation deeply, and we will see also, we try to see about whom are actors in the international relationship. Um, International relationship is a discipline, as I have told you earlier. It is a discipline. It is even a field of study. So, who are actors under international relationship is a point of discussion for today. And if you have any question, if you have any inquiry before I move to this section, you are welcome. Otherwise, I'm going to move in detail about understanding of international relations. Therefore, let me give you 1 minute to forward if you have any question. Okay, no question at all. So let's try to understand what international relation in the global sense looks like. You know, international relation is not merely a field of study at university, but it is an integral aspect of our day-to-day lives. Okay, we now live in a world where it is impossible to isolate our experience in transaction from the international dimension. Okay, we cannot separate ourselves from the world. For instance, we are sharing some curriculum from elsewhere. Even we are using English as a medium of instruction in universities and colleges. Okay, this is the direct influence of international relations. These days, starting from high school, and particularly at any, whether it is public or private university, the medium of instruction is English. So this means it really affects our day-to-day lives. If we wanted to attend our university education or higher level education, knowing or understanding English is mandatory. Otherwise, we're going to be out of the game. So it's not our preferences to be isolated from the world. So international relation or studying international relation enables students and professionals to better comprehend the information we receive daily from newspapers, television, and radio. These days, we are highly affected by mass medias. You know, mass medias. Yeah? በጣም በምንሰማው ነገር ህይወታችን በጣም አፌክት የተደረገ ነው። በየቀኑ we are reading newspaper, we are looking for news, we are looking for television. Therefore, all these things brings us together. Okay, the network that we are using is a very good indicator that we are a community of the world. Okay. So understanding international relation is one of the crucial features of the world in which we live in. It is interconnectedness. We are interconnected geographically. Okay, we are interconnected socially. Try to look what we dress these days. Try to see the apparatus that we are using. Okay, we are sharing information. These days, many news are released about the new virus, and it reaches to our homes through different mass media. So all over the world, we are connected. And now, currently, it is these days. Currently, it is a very good time to understand international relations. All countries are focusing on the same thing these days. Yeah, we all are concerned about the new disease because it really threatens us. It really hurts us. Okay, it really bothers us. even if the disease is already found out in the country these days, በብዙ ሺዎች የሚቆጠሩ ሰዎች በሀገራችን ቫይረሱ እንደተገኘባቸው እየተነገረ ነው። But if you remember at the beginning when this virus was outbreak in around China, we were still bother ourselves because there is high probability that the virus will reach to us. So we are interconnected not only geographically but intellectually and socially. Therefore, if we are this much interconnected, then making an understanding out of it is important. Do you understand what I mean? So, from historical perspective, if we really wanted to see, originally the study of international relation was in the first originated in the 17th century, and it was just treated as a field of study where students can learn about, like law, like philosophy, like history. People are specialized in it, and the attention was not that much important. The attention that the world give for international relation was not that much interesting. However, following the First World War, there emerged an academic understanding to understand how the fear of war was now equal only to the fear of defeat and proceed. The First World War, even though it is something bad, but it tries to bring the world together, like what is happening now. Okay? የመጀመሪያው የዓለም ጦርነት ማለት ነው። ስለ ኢንተርናሽናል ሪሌሽንሺፕ ስናወራ ሂስቶሪካሊ እንዴት እንደነበረ ለመግለጽ ነው። It is said that after the First World War, the world is highly tended to focus for international relationship. Actually, it was started in the 17th century, like in the 1798 or 97, but more emphasis, okay? More emphasis was given during the First World War. It's reasonably because it is reasonably because war usually by its nature needs cooperation. Okay? Even if the world was cooperated for bad, okay? Even if the world was cooperated for war, but it puts at the end of the day something into their mind. If they can give attention for international relationship, they can do more. They can achieve more. Okay, such kinds of thoughts, such kinds of understanding was inserted into the minds of the world leaders, especially for Russia and USA. It is after the First World War. And today, international relation could be used as describe a range of interaction between people. International relationship is simply it is a relationship between people. Or you can say groups, you can say firms, you can say association, parties, nation, states, even non-governmental organizations. Non-governmental organizations are highly linked, highly interrelated for their own sake. Therefore, I am happy if you really understand the concept of international relationship with this perspective. The other main point that I want you to emphasize when we are talking about international relationship is after the Second World War and after the world has settled down, የመጀመሪያው የዓለም ጦርነት ካበቃ በኋላና አገር ዓለም ከተረጋጉ በኋላ they try to think of things that associate the world together, and it was in this time that Olympic has emerged into the world. You know Olympic, yeah? So to participate at Olympic, they have arranged different games, different sport activities whereby countries can compete not for an individual level but for state level. Olympic ላይ መሳተፍ ከግል ጥቅም ይልቅ ለሀገር ጥቅም የሚያስበልጡ ሰዎች ናቸው ኦሎምፒክ ላይ የሚሳተፉ because the amount of money that is given in the form of award is minimal. ከኦሎምፒክ ያሸነፉ ሰዎች የሚሰጣቸው ገንዘብ በጣም ትንሽ ገንዘብ ነው. It is reasonably because the hegemony is just for the state. Okay, the proud is just for the state, for the country. በጣም proudness በጣም የአሸናፊነት መንፈስ አገሮች ላይ ይወድቃል ከግለሰቦች ላይ ይልቅ. Like if you see like the Diamond League, እንደዚህ Golden League የሚባሉት እነዚህ the benefit is just for the individual. The role of the country in such kinds of games are enormous. ምንም ይሄን ያህል ብዙ አይደለም. የግለሰቦች አሸናፊነት ጎልቶ ይታያል ከግለሰብ ከአገሮች ይልቅ. However, in the case of Olympic, it is just for the state. And Oscar too. Oscar Mendes, it has a public figure in which the sense of countries are, host so many spaces. ብዙ ቦታ የሚይዘው ኦስካር ሰው ሲሸለም ከየት ሀገር ነው የመጣው ነው የሚባለው. ኦሎምፒክ ሰው ሲሸለም from where that individual is from. So if you want to mention Ethiopia in the civilized world, they equally name like highly. Ethiopia ስትላቸው ኢትዮጵያ ማለት ምንድነው ሀገር ነው? የት ነው የሚገኘው? አፍሪካ ውስጥ. Okay, highly ይሏቸዋል. Because this individual has put the state to the front. የሀገሩን ክብር በተደጋጋሚ ኦሎምፒክ ላይ በመገኘት ስላንጸባረቀ ማለት ነው. ስለዚህ what is our intention? እዚህ ጋር የኛ ኢንቴንሽናችን ምንድነው? International relation after the First World War aggravates ከመጀመሪያው የዓለም ጦርነት በኋላ ስለ ኢንተርናሽናል ሪሌሽንሺፕ የሚያወሩ የሚያቀነቅኑ ብዙ አይነት ኢቨንቶች ተፈጠሩ. ኦስካር የመጀመሪያው ነው. ኦሎምፒክ የሚቀጥለው ነው. And more obviously, states are working hardly to participate at international level. And it becomes participation in international relation or politics is unescapable. No individual or people, okay? No individual or people or nation or state can exist in splendid or in isolation or be a mastery of their own fate. No state or no country can emerge as independent, as just master of their own fate. But no matter how much powerful in military states are, no matter what states are powerful in diplomacy or economic circle, still they are in need of foreign relationship. They are highly in search for international alliance. Take a look at for instance, take a look at USA, take a look at Israel, okay, and North and South Korea. These states are known for their high or powerful military well-being. Still, even they have enough military well-being, they are the ones that are searching for international relations. So these all things are just to tell you how much international relationship is very much important. And once you create an international relationship, obeying what you have agreed to do is the second important point. You should obey, you should respect some of the principles, some of the regulations, some of the policies that emanates from the international relationship. The international relationship በኋላ የሚመጡ ግዴታዎች ይኖራሉ። እነዛን ግዴታዎች ማክበር አንዱ ጋራ ጓደኝነት የሚጠበቅ ነገር ነው ማለት ነው። Last time I have told you that previously I have already told you how if we have had an international relationship, we have two basic things: a duty and responsibility. A right and a duty emerge usually equally. A right and a duty is just it is young something ሁለት ገጽታዎች ናቸው ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ you have a right, okay, that's good, you can enjoy those rights, and you have also duties to be done. የግዴታዎች ደግሞ አሉብን የምናደርጋቸው ነገሮች አሉ። ሁለቱንም ለየብቻው ገነጣጥለን ማየት አንችልም ማለት ነው። Am I clear? And if you have any question, you can raise. Clear? Listen up. Any question? Any question? ምንም ጥያቄ የላችሁ? Fine. If you don't have any question, let me go to another basic concept that we have to see under this course. ምንም ጥያቄ ከሌላችሁ በዚህ ኮርስ ሌላ መመልከት ያለብን ነገር አለ። The other important thing to have international relationship, peace and order must be there. Okay? ሰላም እና መረጋጋት የግድ ያስፈልጋል for friendship, for any kinds of alliance, for any kinds of relationship. Having peace and order and a responsible organ to maintain this peace and order must be there. That's why different organizations are set up. Okay? For example, to mention a very recent phenomena, በጣም recently ያለ phenomena ብነግራችሁ, World Health Organization are taking responsibility to regulate all things that happen as a result of coronavirus. Yeah, በዚህ በአዲስ ቫይረስ ምክንያት የሚመጡ the economic shocking, the social isolation, and to give some medical advices. Okay, if you have watching the website of World Health Organization, they are posting different information daily. Those are the results of, okay, those are the results of research actually. የጥናትና የምርምር ውጤት የሆኑ ነገሮች ማለት ነው። They are posting not ordinary talks, ዝም ብሎ አሉባልታ ነገር ሳይሆን ፖስት የሚያደርጉት. It is because the organization take the responsibility already. Okay, the organization is the first responsible party, the first responsible organ. Okay, to give information to the society about the virus, how it spreads, okay, how it transmits, how we can take care of us from this thing, and so on. And likewise, በተመሳሳይ መልኩ I will ask you who is the most responsible organ to keep peace and order at national level, at regional level, and at international level. You can see in 3 different phases. Okay, let you put 3 phases into your notebook actually 3 phases. Who is going to be responsible for the maintenance of peace and order at regional level, at national level, and at international level? This is a question you should answer it. ዓለም አቀፍ ጓደኝነትን ለመፍጠር ሰላምና መረጋጋት የግድ ነው። ሰላም ከሌለ ጓደኝነቱ አይኖርም ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ጓደኝነቱ ቢጠበቅ that is having peace and order. In order to have peace, who is the most responsible organ? And to see this thing, I told you to put 3 phases. There are regional states in Ethiopia. There are states in USA. There are also states in Australia in other European states too. በየሀገሩ ስቴትስ የምንላቸው አሉ ግዛቶች ማለት ነው ግዛት የድሮ ቃላት ነው አሁን these days ክልል እንላለን በፊት ጠቅላይ ግዛት ይባል ነበር ክልሎች አሉ የተለያዩ and at a regional level who is the most responsible organ at national level and also at international level and I'm expecting you to have some ideas about it እሺ ተሳተፉ እንጂ ዝም አላችሁ ዘላለም ዘላለም ይህነት አይሰማም Hermela, you can try. You can try.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. You can try.
ትንሽ ጥያቄው ግልጽ አልሆነልኝም።
ጥያቄው ምንድነው? ዓለም አቀፍ ጓደኝነት ሰላም ይፈልጋል አይደል? ያለ ሰላም ጓደኝነቱ አይኖርም። ስለዚህ ሰላም ደግሞ የሚጀምረው ከየት ነው? ከእያንዳንዱ አገር ከእያንዳንዱ ክልል ነው። ስለዚህ ይህን ሰላምና መረጋጋትን ለመጠበቅ ማን ነው ኃላፊነት የሚወስደው ነው ጥያቄ
ኃላፊነት መውሰድ ያለበት መንግስት ነው ብዬ አምናለሁ
መንግስት ኃላፊነቱን ይወስዳል
እና ህዝብ
okay thank you you know as she said government has the responsibility to take peace and order through different mechanisms. Okay? Government has the authority, government has the right to input laws first of all. Yes, it is government who has the responsibility to manage, to regulate this peace and order, but how? At regional level, በክልሎች ደረጃ ክልሎች do have some autonomous rights የራሳቸው የሆነ የተመጠነ ወይም የተገደበ ምን አላቸው መብት አላቸው for example they have the right to administer properties that belong to that locality እዛ አካባቢ ላይ የሚገኝ የሆነ ሪሶርስ ካለ ያንን ሪሶርስ ኤክስፕሎይት አድርገው ክልሉን ለማልማት መጠቀም ይችላሉ ለምሳሌ let's say the region is rich of minerals ያ ሪጅን ለምሳሌ የደቡብ ክልል ነው ብለን እናስብና እዛ አካባቢ ላይ ለምሳሌ አትክልትና ፍራፍሬ አለ ወይም ደግሞ let's say ሚነራል አለ ብለን እናስብ exploiting that minerals and converting into business is the responsibility of that regional state therefore regional states do have some autonomy ማለት ነፃነት ማለት ነው they have some rights and that rights must be actually headed or supervised by the central government. ይሄ መብት ግን ከሚገባው በላይ ደግሞ ኤክሰርሳይዝ እንዳያደርጉ the central government will take the responsibility to manage it, to balance it. balance ለማድረግ የክልሉ መንግስት በፌደራል መንግስት ሄድ ይደረጋል። So when we get back to our former question, ወደ ቅድም ጥያቄያችን ስንመለስ of course it is government who has the authority to regulate peace and security but the question is how peace and order can be maintained if a country cannot maintain peace and security then the state is going to be to cohesion to another state to conflict for different reasons አሁን በቅርቡ ኒውስ ሰምታችኋል ማሊ ውስጥ አንድ ነገር ተፈጥሮ ነበር have you heard on news that in Mali something wrong was happened what is that ዜና ላይ የማሊውን ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር ሰዎች በምርጫ ሳይሆን በነውጥ በወታደሮች ምን አደረጓቸው? መፈንቅለ መንግስት ተደረገ እና አስወገዳቸው። And it is what? Illegal. They are acting beyond the limit of citizens. የሲቲዝኖች ራይት የተገደበ የተመጠነ ነው። ከዛ በላይ ኤክሰርሳይዝ አደረጉት ማለት ነው። So what was the reaction of United Nations? What do Mali has faced as a result of this activity? ማሊ ይሄንን በማድረግ ምክንያት ያጋጠማል ትልቅ ኢንተርናሽናል ኪዮስ አለ። What is that chaos?
ማዕቀብ ነው የሞክር
ማዕቀብ ተጣለባት።
ዲፕሎማሲው እንደገና ብዙ ሀገሮች ከዲፕሎማሲ ያገለሏት
አፍሪካ ህብረትን ጨምሮ ከኢንተርናሽናል ሪሌሽንሺፕ ምን ሆነች ማለት ነው? ወጣች ማለት ነው። Yeah, the country is completely disqualified from any international alliance. Above all, ከምንም በላይ ደግሞ the most worst situation, the most worst condition is United Nations erased its membership. አይደል? United Nations ከአባልነት ሰረዘ። That means this country from this time onwards become an island. ከዚህ ጊዜ በኋላ ማሊ ምን ሆነች ማለት ነው? በቃ አይላንድ የተገለለ እንትን ታውቃላችሁ? No contact with Mali, no alliance with Mali. Okay? You can guess how much it is a burden for the society to live with this situation. በዚህ አይነት ሁኔታ መኖር ለማሊ ምን ያክል ከባድ እንደሆነ ለመገመት የሚያስቸግር አይመስልም። So what do we understand from this scenario? What we can understand from this situation is ከዚህ የምንረዳው ነገር ምንድነው? States must be careful about their peace and security. አገሮች ለውስጣቸው በሀገራቸው ውስጥ ለሚከናወነው ነገር they have to take responsibility. Okay? Therefore, in order to manage wrongdoers, እነዚህ wrongdoers manage ለማድረግ how government implement or how government exercise power መንግስት እንዴት አድርጎ ነው መቆጣጠር የሚችለው የሚለው እናያለን። The first one is it is through laws. Okay? It is through laws. ህግ በማውጣት under laws we have some permissive activity, some prohibited activities. የሚፈቀዱ ነገሮችን ያስቀምጣል፣ የሚከለከሉ ነገሮችን ደግሞ ያስቀምጣል ማለት ነው። Anything that become a threat for national security will be prohibited. ለሀገር ሉዓላዊነት ለሀገር ከባባድ የሆኑ ነገሮችን ህግ ይከለክላል ማለት ነው። Let's say, can you give me some example that a law that prohibits because it endanger the well-being of nation? ማንኛውም አክቲቪቲ የሀገርን ሰላም የሀገርን መረጋጋት የሚያደፈርስ ከሆነ በህግ ይከለከላል። And I'm asking you some example about it. እስኪ think of a situation, think of a thing that government banned, government የከለከለው banned ያደረገው, and it is prohibited because it will create a problem for the nation. ለሀገሪቱ ችግር ስለሚፈጥር. So try to search an example for this.
Can I answer this question, please?
Anybody can try. ማንኛውም ሰው መሞከር ይችላል።
Well, peaceful demonstration አሁን ለምሳሌ በእኛ ሀገር peaceful demonstration ይፈቀዳል። So government ያልፈቀደው ወይም ደግሞ authorized ያልተደረገ demonstration which is like አሁን ለምሳሌ ህዝቡን ያለበትን situation አደጋ ላይ የሚጥል demonstration unpeaceful የሆነ demonstration ከተደረገ which is makes unpeace የሆነ ነገር
ለምሳሌ let me tell you no problem ለምሳሌ creating international relationship is something good አይደል ዓለም አቀፍ ግንኙነቶችን መፍጠር የሚበረታታ ነገር ነው ነገር ግን do you think that regional states can create international relationship by themselves? Do you think that the regional states do have their own rights, their own autonomy አላቸው መብት አላቸው ግን let's say that these regional states do you think that they could make international relationship by themselves?
No. Religion ራሳቸው አሁን ለምሳሌ ፌደራል ስቴት እና ሪጂናል ስቴት የሚባል ተከፋፍሏል አይደለ every have their own participation የሚያደርጉበት ነገር አለ for instance አሁን ለምሳሌ ሪሊጂኖች የራሳቸው የሆነ ኢንተርናሽናል የሆነ ሪሌሽንሺፕ መፍጠራቸው ምክንያቱም through federal ወይ አንቺ
ልመልስ ሚስ ልሞክር
እሺ
ሪጂናል ስቴቶች በራሳቸው በኩል መሞከር አይችሉም ምክንያቱም ፌደራል መንግስት ስላላቸው ሁሉም ኮንታክታቸው የሚሆነው በፌደራል መንግስት በኩል ነው ግን sometimes ለጉብኝት ምናምን ኢንቫይት ማድረግ ይችላሉ ከውጪ ጋር ማለት ላይክ ለምሳሌ ቭላድሚር ፑቲን መተው ወደ ትግራይ ሀገር ጎብኝተው እንደሄዱት ማለት ነው እንደዚህ አይነት ኮንታክቶችን ማድረግ ይችላሉ ግን ዲል መፈጸምም ማድረግም አይችሉም ምክንያቱም እንትናቸው የሚመሰረተው በፌደራል መንግስት ስር ስለሆነ ማለት ነው
Who are you?
Rahel,
thank you very much. Rahel, let me ask you one question.
Yes.
Yeah? Why it is prohibited? ለምን ተከለከለ?
ምክንያቱም አንድ ሀገር first of all ህገ መንግስት አላት ሶ በህገ መንግስቷ መሰረት የምትተዳደረው በፌደራል መንግስት ነው ስለዚህ ፌደራል መንግስት ነው ከውጪ ኃይሎች ጋር ኮንታክት ማድረግ የሚችለው እንጂ ክልሎች እንደዛ የሚያደርጉ ከሆነ ፌደራል መንግስት አያስፈልገንም ማለት ነው ኮንታክታችን እርስ በራሱ ስለሚሆን እንደ ስቴት ነው የምንንቀሳቀሰው ማለት ነው እንደ ክልል ሳይሆን
አሁን ምንድነው ማንኛውም ነገር ቤተሰቦቻችን ለምሳሌ አንዳንድ ነገሮችን ይከለክሉናል when we were kids especially kids ያለ ቤተሰብ የሚከለክሉበት ምክንያት ምንድነው because it's dangerous for us it hurts us yeah የሚጠቅመን ነገር ይከለክሉናል እንዴ አይከለክሉንም አይደል and we really understand why they prohibit us from doing that activities የሚከለክሉን ነገር it has some bad things and we knew that bad things likewise government prohibits it because of a reason because of some fear ፍርሃት አለ አይደል የተፈራው ነገር ምንድነው ጥያቄ
አሁን ያ ፍርሃት የሚመጣው አሁን ለምሳሌ የሆነ ክልል ብንወስድ ከኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ እሺ for example ትግራይ ክልል እንውሰደውና ትግራይ ክልል ከሌላ ሀገራቶች ጋር ዲፕሎማሲያዊ ግንኙነት የሚያደርግ ከሆነ የአንደኛ ነገር ሀገር ሉዓላዊነቷ እየተደፈረ ይመጣል ሁሉም ሰው ፐርፌክት ስላልሆነ የሆነ ሚስቴክ በተሰራ ሰዓት ላይ ትግራይ ክልል ላይ ጥቃት ሊደርስ ይችላል ሶ ሪስክ ይሆናል ሁሉም ነገር ማለት ነው ስለዚህ የአንድ ሀገር ሉዓላዊነቷ የሚሸረሸርበት ምክንያት ሊመጣ ይችላል ሀገር የመሸጥ ነገር ሊመጣ ይችላል ብዙ አይነት ሚስቴኮች ለሚሰሩ ሁሉም ነገር በፌደራል ገቨርንመንት ስር ይሆናል ማለት ነው
Thank you very much Rahel very good and it is well said yeah it is restricted it must be governed or it must be managed by federal government because international relationship must be or should governed by the federal state otherwise a secret information might be released that information might create a chaos for the well-being of the nation if international relationships are easily created by regional states then we don't have to have a federal autonomy we don't have to have a federal state from the beginning right therefore all international relationship must be governed by the central government. Of course, regional states, as we have said earlier, they can have international relations, but it must be go through the federal government. ክልሎች ከዓለም አቀፍ ከዓለም ጋራ ግንኙነት ሊፈጥሩ ይችላሉ, but it must be processed, it must pass through the central government. The awareness of central government is mandatory, otherwise it is illegal. It is illegal. And the very reason why it is rejected from the principle of international relationship is the hegemony, the respect of the nation will be at risk. የሀገሪቱ ሉዓላዊነት አሁን ሰንደለችው አንዳንድ ከባባድ ሚስጥር የሆኑ ነገሮች አንዳንድ ከባባድ የሆኑ resources, some resources might be sold if states are simply create a relationship with abroad or elsewhere. For all these reasons, international relationship must be governed by restriction, by laws. ስለዚህ አሁን ቀደም እንደሚያልኳችሁ of course government is responsible for making or for maintaining peace and security. The first method to maintain this peace and security is through having legislative laws. የተረቀቀ ህግ በማበጀት በመከልከል እና በመፍቀድ በእነዚህ በሁለት መንገዶች ህግ የሰዎችን የሀገሮችን ስቴቢሊቲ ይቆጣጠራል ማለት ነው. This is the first reason. And the other way is the second method, how laws are regulating international peace and security is by penalizing wrongdoers. አሁን ቅድም እንደጠቀስነው መንግስት ህግ በማውጣት ህግ የሚያወጣው ደግሞ ምን ብሎ ነው? አንዳንድ
በትምህርት ከፍ ብሎ መብረር ይቻላል። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ከከፍተኛ ትምህርት አግባብነትና ጥራት ኤጀንሲ ሙሉ ዕውቅናን ባገኘንባቸው በማስተርስ ዲግሪ MBA በስትራቴጂክ ማኔጅመንት፣ MBA በባንኪንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ MBA በቢዝነስ ሊደርሺፕ፣ MBA በሪስክና ኢንሹራንስ፣ MSc በኢንተርናሽናል ትሬድ እና ኢኮኖሚክስ ዘርፎች በእውቀት ለመቅረጽ የበቁ ፕሮፌሰሮቻችን አረንጓዴ መብራታቸውን አብርተዋል። በነገራችን ላይ በኬንያ ሀገር ከሚገኙ ስመጥር ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች በሚመጡ ፕሮፌሰሮች የትኩረት መስክ ትምህርቶቹ መሰጠታቸው ልዩ ያደርገናል። በምርጥ የትምህርት ስርዓት የተገነባው ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ በመጀመሪያ ዲግሪ በአቪዬሽን ማኔጅመንት፣ በሆቴል ማኔጅመንት፣ በአካውንቲንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ በማርኬቲንግ ማኔጅመንት አስተማማኝ ትምህርት ይገቢውና ራስዎንና ሀገሮን ይለውጡ። አድራሻ 22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።
የሁለተኛው መንገድ ደግሞ it is by penalizing wrongdoers. Penalize ማለት ነው penalty መቅጣት ማለት ነው። ህግ ያወጣል፣ ህግ ይደነግጋል, and it's up to us to respect what the law says. Yeah, it is mandatory for us to respect what the law says. A state needs to respect the federal law whether they like it or not. ወደዱም ጠሉ ወደንም ጠላንም ህግን ማክበር ምንድነው? ግዴታችን ማለት ነው። There are some laws that we don't like. የማንወደው ህግ ግን የምናከብረው የለም
አለ።
እስኪ ለምሳሌ
state succession
ምንድነው?
that means እንትን የአንድ ሀገር አሁን ለምሳሌ ራሴን አድሚኒስትሬት አደርጋለሁ ብላ ራሷን የመገንጠል መብት የሚለው አሁን ለምሳሌ ብዙ ጊዜ ኢሹ የሚያስነሳው አንደኛው ከህጋችን መካከል አንዱ
take to your ordinary life የራሳችንን የቀን ተቀን ህይወት እናየው. Tell me, we respect that law but we don't like it. ዝም ብላችሁ የየራሳችን Uniform members. Okay. You are supposed to wear uniform in college too, yeah? Only
Yeah.
exceptionally, this college has a new law that forces students to wear uniform. You know, wearing uniform has its good sides. At the same time, you know, you could not able to wear your fashionable clothes that you already pay a lot of money so as to have a show. በጣም ብዙ ገንዘብ የከፈላችሁበትን ገንዘብ ወደ ትምህርት ቤት ስትወጡ ካለበሳችሁት የት ልትለብሱት ነው? It's questionable, yeah? But wearing uniform has also its good sides. It is for that reason that the college decided to let students wear uniform all the time. So we don't like that law, okay? We don't like that law, but we need to be abided by it, whether we like it or not. ህግ እንደዚህ ነው ወደድንም ጠላንም ብንፈልገው ባንፈልገው we need to respect what the law says because it's a law. Likewise, regional states needs to respect what the federal government says, what the federal law says. But before those laws are drafted, you know, lawmaker organ has already passed through different stages. They have to get the consent of all regional states. ህግ ከመረቀቁ ህግ ከመውጣቱ በፊት የሪጂናል ስቴቶች ፈቃደኝነት መጠየቅ አለበት ወይም there must be a discussion, generally speaking. Discussion ይኖራል. We as a state, as a country ይህንን ህግ ልናወጣ ነውና ምን ይመስላችኋል ተብሎ ይጠየቃል አይደለ? ስለዚህ respecting what the law says is mandatory. And what will happen if we don't dare to respect what the law says?
There will be penalty. There will be punishment.
There will be penalties. There will be punishments. Okay? Yeah. So the fear of being punished forces you to respect what the law says. Yeah?
Yeah.
The fear that we have developed leads us to respect what the law says. ህግ የሚለው ነገር የምናከብረው ህጉን ቅድም እንዳለው ስለምንወደው ሳይሆን ዩኒፎርም ባለመልበሳችን የሚመጣውን consequence በመፍራት we respect what the law says. Therefore, to compass what we have discussed, ለማጠቃለል ለከልምን ያልኩኝ ህግ አንደኛ ህግ በማውጣት አይደል? መንግስት ህግ በማውጣት ሁለተኛ በመከልከል ሶስተኛ በመፍቀድ አራተኛ በመቅጣት ፔናልቲ በማስቀመጥ penalized በማድረግ they try to regulate, they try to maintain peace and order in a given nation. በአንድ ሀገር ላይ የሚኖረውን ሰላም እና መረጋጋት ለማስጠበቅ ሲባል እነዚህ ነገሮች ይደረጋሉ ማለት ነው። Any question? On the material that I'm going to send you soon, በምልክላችሁ material ላይ there is the evolution of international relationship. The evolution of international relationship means international relationship has passed through different stages like anything. አይደል? እንደማንኛውም ነገር international relationship ከመነሻው ጀምሮ ኢቮልቭ እያደረገ እየተቀየረ የመጣበት መንገድ አለ. I think I don't have to discuss it with you. It is just a historical overview. It is a historical overview, so you can just simply read it as an information. እንደ መረጃ ብታውቁት ስለማይጎዳ ዝም ብላችሁ እንደ ጋዜጣ ታነቡታላችሁ. How the world evolved through international relationship. What was the role of Roman Empire and European empires, and the popes, the Catholic Church, the Protestant movement, and so on. እነዚህ Protestant movements የተለያዩ popes ሲያደርጓቸው የነበሩ ዓለም አቀፍ ግንኙነቶች ለዛሬው international relationship it is a base. Okay, it was a base for the current development of international relationships. So it's good to have an awareness about it. Therefore, when I send the material for you, you just can read by yourself. So the last important point under this chapter is, okay, the last important point that we should discuss before we move to the second chapter is whom are actors in the international relation. Okay, whom are actors, role players in the international relation. Okay, you know, the world is characterized by dynamism. Dynamism means a constant change. We have seen economical change 40 or 50 years ago. If you have seen Germany, it's all in all ash. ከ50 ከ60 ዓመት በፊት ጀርመን ምንድን ነበረች ብላችሁ ብታዩ I can say it is ash, አመድ። በሁለተኛው ዓለም ጦርነት የተረፋት አመድ ብቻ ነው። All infrastructure, all things were burned. But if we have asked the same question, what is the level of Germany? You can say something. Yeah, it is one among the 5 economic leaders in the world. ከአምስቱ ዓለምን በጣም ኢኮኖሚካሊ እያንቀሳቀሱ ካሉ ሀገሮች አንዷ ናት ጀርመን ማለት ነው። So this is dynamism. Okay, this is states are on constant movement, on constant change. Economically speaking, there is boom and peak periods. Economically, በጣም highest level ላይ የደረሱ አገሮች አሉ. And there are also misfortune states that go down, like Ethiopia. Ethiopia, like 100 years ago or 200 years ago, the state was known for good international relationship, for good civilization, especially classic civilization. But currently, it is labeled among the very, very poorest states in the world, whereby a person is thirsty for clean water. በዚህ ሰዓት በዓለም አቀፍ ደረጃ ውሃን ማጣት የመሰለ ድህነት የለም። By the way, the third world has already stopped worrying about these common needs, basic needs. Do you know these basic needs? When we were in primary level, it was 3, but nowadays there are 4 basic needs of every human being, whether you are black or white, whether you are European or American or African, wherever you belong, you do have 4 basic needs. What are they? What? Food is one. Food. When we are referring to food, by the way, food means nutritious food. If you are eating injera 3 times a day, you are not considered as access to food. Yeah, you're right. Food nutritious food. That means protein, vitamin, calcium, ያለበት ወተት በየቀኑ የማይጠጣ ሰው ልትዋት ሊል አይችልም። According to the list of World Health Organization, food means a nutritious food. So in any ways, food is the first basic thing. Okay, second, shelter. መኖሪያ ቤት መጠለያ ማለት መኖሪያ ቤት ደግሞ የሚባለው you can see after you end up this class, you can see what a house is. A house must include individual bedrooms and a common salon and what? Individual toilet. Yeah. People should have to have access to these 3 things. Otherwise, it is not a house. It is just simply a shelter. መጠለያ የሚባለው house አይባልም። አሁን የስንቶቻችን ቤት ነው አሁን የጠቀስኩትን ነገር ያለው? question. In any ways, the second most important thing is house. House ስንል ግን ሁሉም house እንደ ቤት አይቆጠርም ማለት ነው። ቤት ማለት ቤተሰብ በጋራ የሚሰበሰብበት ኮመን ግራውንድ ያለው ሳሎን ያለው መጸዳጃ ቤት ያለው ቤተሰቡ አባላቶቹ ለየብቻቸው የሚተኙበት ክፍል ያለበት ቤት ነው። This is the second one. The third is close. Okay, close በምንልበት ጊዜ ደግሞ it should protect us from two things, from warmth and cold. ልብስ ደግሞ በምንልበት ጊዜ እኛ ዝም ብለን መልበሳችንን ብቻ ነው ይላል። በብርድ ጊዜ ሙቀት ይሰጣል። በሙቀት ጊዜ ደግሞ ቬንቲሌት የሚያደርግ ነው ልብስ የሚባለው። አየር የሚያስገባ እንዲያቀዘቅዘን የሚያደርግ ልብስ እንጂ the type of cotton that we just put on our skin is not considered as clothes. And the first and the last and the recently added one is የጠፋሽ ስትናገር ነበር። What is the first one? Hey. I will not tell you at the end of this class. Browse it. Browser. ሶስቱን መልሳችኋል። አንድ ይቀራችኋል።
ዋተር ተበላ
ነው ዋተር ከምግብ ጋር ይያዛል። ውሃ ከምግብ ጋር ይጠቃል። ምግብ ስንል ውሃ ነው የሚጨምረው።
ፋሚሊ አይሆንም
ፋሚሊ ነው
አሳዳጊ
ነው ያላሳዳጊ መኖር ይቻላል አይደል? ቤተሰብ ባይኖር
ኤዱኬሽን
ኤዱኬሽን ቤዚክ ኒድ ማለት ያለ እንደዛ መኖር አይቻልም ማለት ነው። ያልተማረ ሰው አይኖርም እንዴ? ሳንበላ መኖር አንችልም አይደል?
ቤት ምንማር ሶስት ነው የተማርነው መሰረታዊ ነገሮች ተብለው ቤት ምግብና መጠለያ የሚባለው።
There is another fourth one recently added. Castle? No.
Okay.
Air.
Air? No, not air. No.
Air?
Sport?
No. Anyways, try to browse it at the end of this class. What is the recently added that is really critical for every human being? ለሁሉም ሰው critical የሆነ አራተኛው ነገር browse አድርጉ ከዚህ ስትዱ ማለት ነው። Okay. Children?
Security.
Security? No, አሁን እኮ ዘጋሁት ይሄንን ነገር። ልክ ይሄን ክላስ ጨርሱ browse አድርጉ። አራተኛው
Is it healthcare center?
Come on, guys, listen to me.
Healthcare center?
Listen to me. All of your guesses are not exactly the answer. አሁን የገመታችሁት በሙሉ
ፒሲ መስል
come on. ስሙኝ እንጂ I really appreciate your participation, but try to browse at the end of this class that the fourth and the newly added elements will be searched by yourself. Search articles to class. Therefore, what's my point in here? The very reason why I mentioned this thing is there must be actors in the international relation. Okay, if the very essence of having international relationship is mandatory, international relationship mandatory ነው ለዓለም ለሀገር ያስፈልገናል ካለ okay, whom are the actors? It is through whom that this international relationship can be facilitated. በማን ነው ይሄ international relationship facilitate የሚደረገው የሚለው እናይና that will be the end of the class for today. International relation traditionally focused on interaction between states. Traditionally, or in the earlier period, it's just a simple interaction. However, this conventional view has been broadened over the years to include relationship between all sorts of political entities. But international relationship is just an ordinary relationship. But these days, international relations capture a vast array of themes ranging from the growing interconnectedness of people to old and new forms of security. States are worried about security, dialogues, conflict resolution, beliefs, ideology, the government space, the global economy, poverty, climate change. These are things that took the attention of the world. With regard to global warming, with environmental change, all the states are, fighting against it. Poverty and, conflicts. America, many yagabat no, beyagaru peacemaker የምትሆነው United Nations ያሉ የተለያዩ ሀገሮች ምን እያገባቸው ነው for the conflict arising in Arabian states. They are the one who is supposed to make peace. Okay, so this can make it seems like the task is not just to study various aspects of international relationship, but to try to grasp the bigger picture. We should have to have a bigger picture. So the first actors with regard to international relationship is sovereign states. These sovereign states are represented by important actors. There are important actors. እነዚህ ሉዓላዊነት ያላቸው አገሮች በተለያዩ ሰዎች ይወከላሉ። You can mention ambassadors, embassy officials, leading actors, states, prime ministers, presidents, okay, whom are representing the country. ሀገሪቱን የሚወክሉ የተለያዩ ሰዎች ግለሰቦች ይቀመጣሉ። አምባሳደሮች ይቀመጣሉ። የኤምባሲ ሄዶች ይቀመጣሉ። ኦኬ ባለሙሉ ስልጣን አምባሳደሮች ይሾማሉ። These people are intentionally responsible to make peaceful alliance, to facilitate the relationship among states. Therefore, bear in mind that honored individuals ስላችሁ እንደ አምባሳደር አርጋችሁ የምትሾሟቸው ሰዎች ከእስር ቤት የወጡ ሰዎችን አንሾም ማለት ነው። To appoint as an ambassador, the person should have to have the country. ሀገሪቷን የሚወክል ውጪ ወጥቶ ስለ ሀገሪቱ ጥሩ ነገር መናገር የሚችል ኢንዲቪጁዋል መሆን አለበት ማለት ነው። ግለሰቦች ይህንን ጥሩ የሆነ ሪሌሽንሺፕ ፋሲሊቴት ለማድረግ ይቀመጣሉ ይሾማሉ። The second important bodies are organizations, offices. And I'm asking you what kinds of organizations are responsible to label as an actor. Come on, officers, we are risky. Haven't you heard about foreign Ministry of Foreign Affairs? የውጭ ጉዳይ ሚኒስትር it's an office, it's an organization, it is governmental organization, and these are responsible to facilitate international alliance. Okay, embassies are once again it is governmental organization who can manage the transaction of people. It gives permission or rejection for transitors. ለትራንዚተርስ ለተጓጓዦች ፈቃድ የሚሰጥ ወይም ፈቃድ የሚከለክል organization. Okay, therefore this is the second most important organization other than foreign affairs ministers. Immigration office ደግሞ ላቸው የሰዎችን መምጣትና መሄድ እየተከታተሉ ከሀገሮች ጋር ጥሩ ግንኙነት እንዲኖረን የሚያደርጉ ካምፓኒዎች ናቸው ኦርጋናይዜሽኖች ናቸው these are governmental organizations and the others are non-governmental organizations non-governmental organizations are also set up in order to facilitate good relationship among states ቅድም እንደነገርኳችሁ charity or donation is one part of international relation okay it is because we do have good relationship with foreign states that we can donate donations የተለያዩ እርዳታዎችን የምንቀበለው ከውጭ ሀገር ጋር ባለን ግንኙነት አማካኝነት ስለዚህ that donation must be facilitated by NGOs non-governmental organizations to receive some donations to request for donation ለመጠየቅ they have to fairly distribute what they have received from abroad ከውጭ ደግሞ የተቀበሉትን ነገር ለዚህ በስነ ስርዓት ዲስትሪቢዩት ለማድረግ የተቋቋሙ non state actors non governmental non-governmental organizations are also taking a huge role in administrating in facilitating international relationship. The other is foreign policy draft other than international relations there are some quasi-organization those they seems that they are established for benefit but like Amnesty International whom are responsible for the well-being of the world can be mentioned as a very good point. ስለዚህ እነዚህ አሁን የነገርኳችሁ ኦርጋናይዜሽኖች ተቀስኩላችሁ ኦፊሶች they are the one to regulate the global affairs. You have any question? Do you have any question? Okay. Before I move to the second chapter, let me say very few words about levels of analysis in international relation. International relation has its own level. As I told you earlier, it is the first world war that brings the concern of international relationship in the world for the first time. So traditional or conventional international relationship was not concerned with any potential. Who is speaking? Salamit? Salamit? I think somebody was speaking, but I can't able to listen. እንዳልኳችሁ the label was it is labeled label ማለት ደረጃ ማለት ነው international relation ደረጃ አለው ደረጃው ምንድነው in the 90s in 1990 that means the second world war a lot of what could be called traditional or conventional international relationship was not concerned with any political distinction between different levels of analysis or theoretical perspective. In the 1990s, that is the time of the Second World War. At that time, countries and states where they do have some extra national associations, and there is a domestic pressure inside that leads them to have a common voice. Common voice እንዲኖር የሚያደርጉ አንዳንድ እንቅስቃሴዎች ነበሩ in the after the Second World War. But I can mention that the time that we are in on the 21st century is, it is the time where all global affairs can be interlinked or intermingled. But መቼውም ጊዜ በበለጠ international relationship በጣም strong የሆነበት ጊዜ ግን አሁን ነው ማለት እንችላለን። Because in the earlier times, global warming was not a hot issue. These days, economical well-beingness and environmental sensitiveness is higher by any state, any country. የዓለም የአየር ለውጥ እና የኢኮኖሚው stable አለመሆን, it is the most common problem of all states of the world. የሁሉም የዓለም ሀገር በሙሉ concern ሆኗል. Therefore, we cannot combat this problem at individual level, but by being grouped በመሆን እንደ G7 አይነት ሀገሮች ይቋቋማሉ. They do have a veto power to settle, to put some important laws. ለምሳሌ ከዚህ መጠን በላይ ያለው ሰልፈሪክ አሲድ ኢሚት የሚረጭ ፋብሪካ በየትኛውም ሀገር ላይ መከፈት አይችልም ብለው በአንድ ወቅት ላይ ሌጅስሌት አድርገው ነበር፣ ህግ አውጥተው ነበር። So any cement factory should regulate the sulfuric acid emission. ማንኛውም ሀገር ላይ የሚከፈት ማንኛውም አይነት የሲሚንቶ ፋብሪካ የሰልፈሪክ አሲድ ኢሚሽኑን መቀነስ መቻል አለበት ማለት ነው። That might cost the company በጣም ኮስት ሊያደርገው ይችላል, but for the world health concern, ለዓለም ህዝብ በሙሉ ለጠቅላላ ግሎባል ላለ ሶሳይቲ ሲባል they should have to lower down the emission. Okay? So such a thing should be controlled not by individual level, but by group levels. Therefore, cooperation is very, very important to pass important decisions. አሁን እንደነገርኳችሁ እንደነዚህ አይነት የመሳሰለ ዲሲሽኖችን ለመውሰድ የዛሬው ጊዜ በጣም ትልቅ ሌቭል ላይ ሊደርስ ይችላል ለማለት ይቻላል። So problems can be tackled at individual level. If it cannot be tackled at individual level, then at group level. Then if it is once again difficult to solve at state level, then at international level it should be solved. ፕሮብለሞችን እንደዚህ ያደረግን ነው ዓለም ላይ የሚከሰቱትን የምንፈታው ማለት ነው። I think this is all about what the first chapter is all about. If you have any question, you are welcome. Otherwise, you can read by yourself some of important concepts must be read by you, because since we have limited time, we don't have to cover all in each page by page. ይሄንን እያንዳንዱን እንትን ማየት ስለማንችል አንዳንድ ነገሮች በራሳችሁ አንበብ ይኖርባችኋል ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ if you have any question, you're welcome. Otherwise, that's what I have for today. ግን ከዛ በፊት ጥያቄ ካላችሁ ብትጠይቁ።
Yes, madam.
I'm listening.
Yeah. My question is this. For example, international organization with a nation law, does it they have different? For example, when you are doing international relationship while within your country, does they have interaction within your country law, or they don't have?
Yeah. If war happened in one place, let's say, yeah, but to call it a war, there must be 2 or more countries, I think. Okay? Otherwise, it's going to be a civil war. If the war is within the country. Yes? Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, if you say to be a war or not lamalet, at least 2 states, 2 countries must be there. So before these states go to any conflict, international organizations like Amnesty International, they come up with different reports, yeah? They bring different reports, and the very intention of those reports are just to settle down conflicts, to create awareness that societies can stand for their own rights. So everybody has the right to live peacefully. For example, Amnesty International previously posted that most societies in Ethiopia have lived under pressure and they don't have to have enjoying their rights. And what I wanted to mean here is they can interfere. They can suggest their own suggestion so as to settle that conflict. Of course, they don't have to violate their domestic laws. Ethiopia is an independent territory. Anybody should not come and interfere its laws. Yeah? Interference is manageable, but they positively interfere. That 2 states must settle their conflict. For example, let me tell you a good example. Once upon a time, Ethiopia and Eritrea was in conflict. Yeah? They have passed through a war which more than 70,000 civilians were killed. And at that time, elders took the responsibility to settle down under African Union. All African states show that these states should settle their problems. And these countries were unable to solve their problem peacefully, so that they have moved to a war that costs us much. So the duty, I mean the responsibility, or you can say it is just to suggest and to put their problem on table and to pass some deliberation. They don't have to force, okay, and they don't have to do anything. However, sometimes some restrictions might pass. And then the restriction which states will put sanction ይባላል ይሄ ማዕቀብ ከነዚህ ሀገር ጦር ከሚፈልጉ ጠብ ከሚፈልጉ ጦርነት ከሚፈልጉ ሀገሮች ጋር ምንም ነገር አናረግም በሚል ሀገሮች ያገላሉ otherwise domestic laws will not be interfered. Any question? Do I answer your question, Mr.? Yeah, thank you. And any more question? Very good. It's better if you have asked me some points that is not clear for you.
ልዩነት መፍጠር ዓላማችን ነው። ዓለም አቀፍ ተወዳዳሪ መሆን አለባችሁ። የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ ጥራትና ደረጃውን የጠበቀ ስልጠና በመስጠት ብቁ ዜጋ እያፈራን ነው። በፍላይት ኦፕሬሽን፣ በበረራ መስተንግዶ፣ በቲኬቲንግና ሪዘርቬሽን፣ በሆቴልና ቱሪዝም ሙያዎች አሰልጥነን ተወዳዳሪ እናደርጉታለን። ኮሌጃችን ካናዳ ከሚገኘው ኢንተርናሽናል ኤር ትራንስፖርት አሶሲዬሽን አያታና ከእንግሊዙ ICM ጋር በመተባበር ዓለም አቀፍ ዕውቅና ያለው ስልጠና እየሰጠ ይገኛል። በፍላይት ኦፕሬሽን በበረራ መስተንግዶ የምንሰጣቸው ስልጠና ከኢትዮጵያ ሲቪል አቪዬሽን ባለስልጣን ሙሉ ዕውቅና አለው። አድራሻ ከጎላጉል ታወር 22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።